this video is hilarious, right? Wrong! Come on, man, have some respect for our bleating brothers. Alright, I'll admit that this video of a helpless little goat falling over and over again in all of his fluffiness is pretty funny. But what's going on here? Is the goat practicing his breakdancing moves, or is he suffering from some sort of biological problem? I'll talk about the ancient art of goat breakdancing in another video, but in this video I'm going to focus on the biological problem. Today I'd like to briefly talk about a disorder called Myotonia congenita. First, let's talk about how muscles contract and relax. Our muscles are made up of two major protein filaments, a thick filament that is composed of the protein myosin, and a thin filament that is composed of the protein actin. Muscle contraction occurs when the thin filaments slide over the thick filaments, as shown in this nifty little animation. Then, in the process of what we call muscle relaxation, the thin filaments slide back to their original positions. By the way, the yellow dots you see represent calcium, whose presence allows for muscle contraction and whose absence allows for muscle relaxation. So, how does this relate to myotonia congenita? Excellent question. Let's take a look at the CLCN1 gene, which is found on our 7th chromosome. Most often, when the CLCN1 gene gets mutated, and there are more than 80 known possible mutations of this gene, a person's muscle contractions tend to last significantly longer than they should, often due to a reduction in the flow of chloride ions into the muscles, which the mutation causes. These abnormally sustained contractions are the hallmark of myotonia congenita. Now let's take another look at the video of the falling goat. Interestingly, goats are one of the most common animals to be victims of a mutation of the CLCN1 gene, meaning that a not insignificant number of goats end up suffering from myotonia congenita. In fact, we cruel human beings have a peculiar infatuation with taking videos of these goats falling down, posting them on the internet, and laughing about them with our beady little eyes glued to the computer. People just can't get enough of these fainting goats. Except, as we now know, the goats aren't fainting at all. Instead, their muscles are contracting for an abnormal amount of time, which becomes a problem when the goats try to move suddenly, because their muscles just can't keep up with them and they tend to stiffen up, which causes the goats to keel over. By the way, next time you find yourself laughing at a poor little goat who's falling over because of myotonia congenita, let me remind you that we human beings can also get myotonia congenita. There's a great video on YouTube where a man with myotonia congenita talks about the disorder and discusses how human beings can diminish its effects in practical ways. Unlike goats, he says, we've come up with methods to warm up our muscles before moving around, which leads to more normal muscle contractions and less overall stiffness. Although myotonia congenita is an irreversible and lifelong disorder, it is fortunately not super debilitating, and its influence can be lessened with regular stretching and an avoidance of sudden movements.